Dzogchen and devotion. An introduction. All sentient beings have one thing in common. It is not the only thing they have in common, but it is perhaps the most important. We all feel love. We are, in essence, feeling beings. Our most important organ is not our brain, but our heart. Our most important capacities are loving kindness and empathy, not our intellect or reason. What matters is not what we know, but how we feel, and, most importantly, how we make others feel. It is through our hearts that we connect with other beings and with nature itself. Our hearts place us in deep interconnection with everything that exists, all of life and all sentient beings. It is because we are feeling beings above all else that it is through the heart that we can most easily discover our ultimate nature, our Buddha nature, and awaken to what we truly are. The path of the heart is exemplified by the four immeasurables, as Khenchen Palden Cherub and Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal make clear. Quote, when practiced impartially and consistently, love, compassion, equanimity, and joy lead to Buddhahood. Even when first beginning their cultivation, you will start to awaken to the inconceivable qualities of the Buddha mind. Everybody has the opportunity to grow in this way and realize Buddha nature. This wondrous truth is the supreme potential we have to develop. End quote. The Buddhist tradition that emphasizes a direct path to discovering our ultimate nature by awakening the heart is Dzogchen, especially the Dzogchen Semde tradition. Dzogchen, or the Great Completion, is the direct recognition of mind's innate luminosity and emptiness, a non-dual awareness that is uncontrived, effortless, and naturally present. It is not a path of gradated attainment, but the simple and immediate recognition of reality as it is, free from concepts, fabrication, and striving. Beyond formal meditation techniques or philosophical analysis, Dzogchen points directly to the open, spacious clarity of pure awareness, where all thoughts, perceptions, and experiences arise and dissolve without obscuring the radiant simplicity of one's true nature. In Dzogchen, our ultimate nature is known as Dzogpachenpo, primordial, non-dual awareness. Dzogpachenpo, the state of the natural great perfection, which is our natural condition, our Buddha nature, has nothing to do with intellect or with knowledge. In fact, it can never be known by the dualistic thinking mind. It is unknowable. The state of the natural great perfection is discovered only through the heart, through love and devotion. It is because Dzogpachenpo can only be discovered through love and devotion that we must place the well-being and happiness of sentient beings above all else, because they are the source of our love, and in the form of the Guru, they are the focus of our devotion. Love and devotion are not detached. They are not indifferent. They rely on connection, respect, and affection. Once we have awakened to the natural condition, the great perfection, then our love and devotion becomes objectless and truly boundless. Until that time, care and affection for sentient beings is one of our primary practices, simply because it is only through loving others that the great secret of our true nature is revealed. It is only through devotion that the dualistic mind and all its hateful habits are dissolved. Studying, debating, reading, and doing constant rituals and pujas, these are all secondary practices, which means they are not essential. In fact, they are completely unnecessary. Therefore, we absolutely must open our hearts to love, to joy, to compassion, to equanimity. It is very simple. Just love others. Just care for others. Just surrender to the Guru. Open your hearts until there is no more subject and object, no more me and no more you. Give yourself up. Become selfless love. This is the deepest and most profound practice you will ever find. Dzogchen is love and devotion. Love and devotion are Dzogchen. Now, we are very familiar with forms of love stained by attachment. Romantic love, parental love, familial love, the love we have for our friends, for our pets. These are all selfish in nature, meaning they are not wholly selfless. We get something from them. This does not mean these feelings are bad and that we should repress them or feel ashamed of them. These feelings are normal, healthy, and somewhat positive, but they do not lead to the dissolution of subject-object dualism. They do not lead to our non-dual, natural, primordially perfect, fundamental condition, our innate goodness. In fact, they reinforce the subject-object division. The love that dissolves the subject-object dualism is selfless love, love unstained by attachment. It is selfless love that is the doorway to awakening. Now, the flavor of selfless love can be found in mundane love, the feelings we have for our partners, family, and pets. This means we can use those feelings as a starting point for immeasurable love, which is boundless and limitlessly impartial, shining like the sun on all beings equally. How do we do this? How do we develop the kind of immeasurable love that leads to awakening? This pit instruction from Rigzin Jamni Temple shows us the way in just a few words. And this is a quote. There are two ways into the state of the great perfection: total love and total devotion. Total love requires you to love all beings equally and completely. Devotion only requires you to love one. End quote. The swiftest and simplest pathway to Dzogpachenpo is through the heart of devotion. To cultivate and truly feel love for all sentient beings, or even just a handful of them, would take a lifetime because of the stain of attachment. To cultivate and truly feel love or devotion for our teacher, and that we can do in a single lifetime. It's a simple maths game. Accomplishing a single thing is clearly easier than accomplishing 6 billion things. Loving one being completely selflessly is clearly easier than selflessly loving 6 billion beings. It is also more likely because our guru does not satisfy our attachment and deliberately guides us towards dissolution of the subject-object dualism, towards the primordially perfect, non-dual state that is Dzogpachenpo. Once we have achieved true devotion, once we have total selfless devotion for the Guru, then the prison of self dissolves, and immeasurable love and compassion for all sentient beings arises naturally, accompanied by the boundless joy that is inherent to our natural condition. This state, in which there is no self and other, in which immeasurable joy, love, and compassion shine on all sentient beings equally, is immeasurable equanimity, which is our natural condition, Buddhahood. To repeat for emphasis, immeasurable equanimity is Buddhahood. This is total awakening. So, we can see that the path to awakening is simple. As I said earlier, just surrender to the Guru. Open your hearts until there is no more subject and object, no more me and no more you. Give yourself up. Become selfless love. This is the deepest and most profound practice you will ever find. Dzogchen is love and devotion. Love and devotion are Dzogchen. Of course, there are some common obstacles to cultivating true devotion. One of the most common reasons people resist Guru Yoga and surrendering to the Guru is our deeply ingrained sense of individual autonomy and skepticism toward authority. In modern cultures that emphasize personal freedom and critical thinking, the idea of surrendering to a teacher can feel like giving up control or becoming vulnerable to potential exploitation. Many fear that devotion to a guru could lead to dependency or even abuse, especially given the many recent examples of teachers misusing their authority. Of course, the vast majority of Dharma teachers are good, ethical, and compassionate people. It is only a very small minority who are not, but it is those bad apples who garner the most attention in our social media saturated, clickbait obsessed world. Additionally, the concept of surrender runs counter to the ego's need for self-assertion. It can be unsettling to place complete trust in another being, especially when that being, the teacher, challenges personal views and habitual ways of thinking. Without a deep understanding of Guru Yoga, it may seem as though it demands submission rather than what it actually cultivates, an opening of the heart and mind to wisdom beyond conditioned perception. Another obstacle is the inability to recognize the Guru as an embodiment of awakened wisdom, rather than an ordinary person with flaws or weaknesses. The Western mind, shaped by scientific materialism and psychological analysis, tends to view people in relative terms, acknowledging strengths, but also scrutinizing weaknesses. If the Guru displays seemingly human imperfections, such as illness or less than perfect knowledge, doubts can arise about their realization, making it difficult to see them as a direct gateway to enlightened mind. The problem with this is, if we're unable to see human beings with their human frailties and weaknesses as enlightened, we'll have no confidence that we too can awaken. Furthermore, many struggle with devotion itself, as it requires an emotional openness that can feel unfamiliar or even threatening, especially for those who have experienced betrayal in their personal relationships or who have been betrayed or disappointed by a teacher before. Without trust and a clear understanding of how Guru Yoga functions as a method to transcend dualistic perception, practitioners may resist engaging fully, not realizing that true surrender to the Guru is ultimately surrender to one's own innate Buddha nature. Another, more pernicious obstacle to Guru Yoga is slavishness and blind faith. Slavishness is abandoning all critical thinking and doing whatever a teacher says, even when it clearly contradicts the Buddha's teaching. Blind faith is believing that the teacher is pure and perfect, despite mountains of evidence to the contrary. There is a famous Buddhist nun who once said that even if there was irrefutable evidence that her teacher committed child abuse, she would not abandon him. That is not devotion. That is slavishness and blind faith. That is not to be admired. That does not lead to awakening. A guru, the person who is the object of our devotion, is in that position because they have earned our trust by demonstrating boundless and unbiased love and compassion and more than a little wisdom and knowledge over many years. As with any relationship, we do not let just anyone into our hearts. Trust and respect born of experience need to be present before we enthrone the Guru on our hearts. The Guru must be impeccable. They must be profoundly ethical. The Buddhist precepts must be second nature to them. They must never harm others. Never. This is why, in our lineage, we encourage devotion only to those gurus who are above reproach. Kyabje Dudjom Rinpoche, Kyabje Togden Amchen, Pabisambhava, Yeshe Sogyal, and of course the Buddha himself. The fact that they are not currently alive doesn't matter. As the Rig-sing Jamyang Temple has made very clear, and this is another quote, time and space do not truly exist. Therefore, neither death nor distance are a barrier between us and those abiding in timeless awareness. Devotion completely dissolves this perceived separation and places us in a state of union with the ultimate guru, awareness itself. End quote. Dzogpachenpo is not the only one to emphasize the fact that a living master is not necessary for guru yoga. Many other teachers have as well, such as Trogdon Shakyasri, Nyosho Ken Rinpoche, Jigme Lingpa, and a host of others. Indeed, in almost all formal guru yoga sadhanas in the Nyingma tradition, the object of devotion is Padmasambhava. It is the norm, rather than the exception, to have a non-living master as the object of devotion. All of this means that, for most of us, devotion is not something we have or want. Let me be brutally honest about what this means. To not want devotion is to not want to be free of suffering. To not want devotion is to want to remain mired in the misery and pain that is cyclic existence. To not want devotion is to condemn ourselves to endless painful deaths and increasingly miserable rebirths. To not want devotion is to choose to remain ignorant and trapped in egotism and selfishness. To not want devotion is to make an unending commitment to harming others, because that's the sum total of what we achieve in a samsaric life. That's our only lasting contribution as samsaric beings, more harm and suffering. So, if we do not wish to perpetuate harm and suffering and currently have no devotion, the way to awaken it is through Guru Yoga. It is a common misunderstanding that you need to already have devotion to practice Guru Yoga. Guru Yoga is the method we use to cultivate or awaken devotion. The simplest and most potent form of Guru Yoga that we emphasize in our lineage is what we call the Lama practice, which is a simple recitation of a phrase, Lama, be with me now. Lama, be with me now is the modern, condensed equivalent of the 7-line prayer to Guru Rinpoche and the Vajraguru mantra revealed by Kabje Tognon Amtrim. That being said, it is not specific to Guru Rinpoche. The word Lama here does not refer to Guru Rinpoche or any specific master. It is gender neutral and means one heavy with positive qualities. It refers to every true guru of every gender and also to the awakened mind, our natural condition. Lama, be with me now, invokes all gurus, outer, inner, and secret. The power of Kyabje Togdram Amtrin's revelation is that we recite it in our first language, our mother tongue. Our first language is called a mother tongue because it connects us to our home and our heart. This is what we want for our practice, for it to be a place of refuge and a direct connection to our hearts. Except for chanting mantra, we should always practice Guru Yoga in our mother tongue. According to all of the great masters of the past, Guru Yoga is the essence of the Vajrayana, the essence of the Nyingma, and the essence of Dzogchen. This means that this practice alone, when combined with the 5 ethical precepts and a little meditation, is all you need to do. In condensed form, it is the recitation of a single line a few times each day. Lama, be with me now. Followed by a short period of resting in evenness through sky gazing or resting in joy. Even more succinct is to simply recite the word Lama and then rest in open-hearted peace. You can also recite the name of your guru, such as Amtrin, or for Düdul Rinpoche, Jnana. You simply say whichever name or word for the Lama that swiftly strikes your heart. This is a profoundly simple and wondrously effective path. It is important that we practice Guru Yoga when we feel inspired. We don't force ourselves to do it. Guru Yoga shouldn't come from obligation, but from joy. We can also practice Guru Yoga when we feel distressed, when we feel that we need comfort or protection, when we have the earnest wish to be free of suffering. Rather than use worldly remedies or distractions to deal with that distress, we go for refuge in the Dharma through the Guru Yoga. In our tradition, we do not count how many repetitions we do. Guru Yoga should not be something we are accumulating, but something that becomes a part of our daily lives for the rest of our lives. That being said, we can use a mala to help us to focus and be present if we need to. Those who are neurodiverse might find it helpful to use a mala in this way. Whenever we feel inspired or feel the wish to take refuge, we practice Guru Yoga. Lama, be with me now. Just 5 or 10 minutes each time is a good start. We can do this multiple times a day. Inevitably, this will give rise to stable or unshakable devotion. That kind of devotion will swiftly awaken us to our natural condition, our Buddha nature. Being awake to our Buddha nature is realization and the cessation of all suffering. From that moment onwards, we can fulfill our Bodhisattva vow to benefit all sentient beings by lifting them out of misery. The revered Dzogchen Master Khenpo Nakchung notes in A Guide to the Words of My Perfect Teacher that through devotion to the teacher, even the graded levels and paths are accomplished within months or years, and that with 6 months of unwavering devotion, you will reach the level of Vajradhara. It does not make sense to ignore the opportunity this practice presents. I urge you to make Guru Yoga your heart practice from this moment onwards. Lama, be with me now. So, to summarize, through the practice of Guru Yoga, we can directly experience the true nature of mind, Dzogpachenpo, which is Buddhahood. In this one practice, there is all the blessing and power of the Vajrayana, of the Nyingma, and of Dzogchen. Through Guru Yoga, we can awaken in a single lifetime. It is very simple. Just surrender to the Guru. Open your hearts until there is no more subject and object, no more me and no more you. Give yourself up. Become selfless love. This is the deepest and most profound practice you will ever find. Dzogchen is love and devotion. Love and devotion are Dzogchen. The simplest form of Guru Yoga is the repetition of the phrase, Lama, be with me now. Nothing could be easier. What are you waiting for?